Hello everybody. Welcome back to session 3, module 4, electrical safety. In the earlier sessions, we discussed regarding uh, definition of electrical safety, what are the hazards, the effect of electricity in human body, the various causes of electric hazards, how we can prevent it, and what are the various PPE that can be used to prevent against electric hazards. In today's session, we go through what's the difference between an AC-DC current, the effect it has on human body, and what are the safety precautions that has to be followed when doing installation of in the either it can be households or residential buildings, and what are the procedures that has to be followed during installation in electric plants. So let us start with a just like refreshing what do you mean by electric shock. So in the earlier sessions we have discussed electrical shock usually takes place when a person comes into contact with an electrical energy source. And so when a person gets in contact with the electric energy source, electric energy flows through a portion of the body, resulting in a shock. And when we get exposed to this electric energy, we may it may result in no injury at all, or it may result in devastating damage or even death. And the burns among the types of injuries that are caused due to electric shock, the most common injury is burns. And of course, there are many parameters that determine what injuries may occur, if any. And we have discussed in detail regarding all this. So these parameters or variables include the type of current, whether it is AC or DC, the amount of current that is flowing through the body, and the pathway the electricity takes through the body. So when we say the pathway the electricity takes, it means if we come in contact, if the electricity passes from left hand to the right hand, that means it passes to the heart, then it is having a very very it will cause a lot of the injury that is caused may be fatal. But if the electricity flows from left hand through the left leg, then the fatality cost may not be of much, will be a little bit less. So that is what we mean by the pathway. Next, coming to the topic of primary and secondary electric shocks. So when we say primary electric shock, it means what are the primary or direct hazards caused by electric shocks. So as all discussed, electric shock can be due to direct or indirect contact with live parts and electric burns. And human body is very sensitive to the amount of current, or what we call it as current magnitude. Of course, the current magnitude may be high, low, or medium. So weak, if the current magnitude is weak, it mostly causes some functional disorders, while whereas heavy current causes burning of tissues. Of course, both these may be fatal. And if one we should remember, the burns caused by electric hazards is very differ from electrical or very differs from the burns that are caused by thermal or chemical. At lower current, the damage may not be visible on the surface, and therefore that means internal damage may take place, and therefore it is more difficult to accurately diagnose, but they can cause critical injuries if not attended to. As voltages are greater, the skin resistance is high, and this resistive heating causes electric burns, and it can puncture the skin at the entry points. And because of high voltage, the brain and other nervous tissue lose all functional excitability when high current passes through them. Another thing that we have to consider is the arc. So arc is a type of burn. So burns are three types and arc is one of them. And arc can occur as a result of an accidental short circuit. Of course, and even though the arc it persists or is exists for only a very short time, the amount of heat generated can be powerful enough and it can cause very deep and slow healing burns. And this type of risk is usually greater in electrical work activities near working on or whether it is near live electrical conductors. And of course, though this type of work is usually conducted by skilled persons who often carry out this work and they take all the precautions, but accidents do take place because of sometimes of unsafe working practices. And because one more thing, even if you don't come in contact the high voltages, we should remember that high voltages can arc across an air gap. So that means it is not necessary to touch live voltage parts to suffer shock or burns. Thermal burns are also possible, and this thermal burns usually takes place because of overloaded or faulty or incorrectly maintained or shortened electric equipments. And because of this, they may get very hot, and some electrical equipments and when we go about work near such systems, thermal burns can take place. And some equipments operate at voltages that are so low that they cannot give an electric shock. But even at this extra low voltages, an arc can take place, and an arc can result, and or thermal burns can result because of overheated conductors. So these are some of the uh, primary burns or primary hazards that are possible. Coming to the secondary electric shocks, there are also, as we had primary hazards where we come in direct contact or maybe because of arcs we may get injured. The secondary burns, even though they're not using it or working with electricity, but they can get harm if proper care is not taken. So that this being maybe secondary electric shock usually because of faulty electrical installation, and electrical equipments can lead to electric leakage currents, arcing and overheating, because of which a fire or explosion can take place by igniting flammable materials, and this can cause death, injury, and sometimes considerable financial losses. Even sometimes non-fatal shocks can cause severe and permanent injury. For example, a person may just fall from a ladder, a scaffolding, or other work platforms, or he can be injured by rotating parts of equipments. All this constitute to second electric shock. And we know that whenever a current is flowing, magnetic fields are set up around the conductor, and these induce electric currents in the body, which can cause stimulation of nerves and muscles. And because of this, a person working on a ladder or a scaffolding may slip or fall, and this may cause permanent injury, severe and permanent injuries. So this was regarding secondary electric shocks. Next topic, AC and DC current shocks. We know that when we say AC, it means alternating current, and it follows a sine wave as shown in the figure. And it is, as it is alternating, it is continuously changing direction and passing through zero, because it goes maximum, comes back to zero, then again there's a peak, it's lower peak and a higher peak, passing through zero to maximum positive value and then to maximum negative value. And we usually find AC current in household appliances like lights, fans, and etc. And when we say DC current, it means the direct current and does not change in magnitude, though it can be positive or negative depending on the direction of the circuit. And this type of current is usually ideal for electrical installation, motors, etc. And again, this picture shows a DC current, and as we can see here, it always flows in a straight, in one direction. It's a straight line. It does not change in magnitude, though it can be, as already discussed, can positive, negative, depending on the direction of the circuit. And again, the types of equipments that use DC currents are electronic circuits, batteries, motors, and etc. So this was a brief regarding AC and DC current. Next, uh, if we may wonder sometimes which current is most dangerous, whether AC current, alternating current, or a DC direct current. Of course, it depends again. Those who experience electric shock, the DC current, they say that they're unable to pull their hand back once they get electrocuted. They find it difficult to pull their hand back. The reason being, DC current flows continuous. It's a straight line. It doesn't alter. That's the reason. Whereas some have mentioned that in case of an accident because of AC current, the person experiences electric shock can pull their hand back. The reason being, as the current is alternating from maximum to zero, so when the current comes back to zero, they're able to pull their hand back. Now, the problem here is that, of course, in a DC, as you know, it's a direct current. When someone gets electrocuted because of DC current, the muscle contraction is continuous because the current that is flowing is continuous. But whereas in case of AC current, a person experiences or undergoes a series of muscle contraction, expansion, contraction because it is alternating. So there won't be a continuous uh, a contraction of the muscles. Because of that, AC is more dangerous. Of course, there are a lot of studies going on, research is going on whether which is more uh, whether AC or DC current is required. But moreover, if we see DC current is more DC current is required to have the same effect as AC current. But one should always remember whether it is AC current or DC current. They can be very dangerous to the human body, and safety measures must be taken into consideration in working with any one of them. So there's a lot of debate going on whether which is more dangerous, AC or DC. Now let's just see what difference between AC and DC current. So the parameters is on the left side. The first parameter says amount of energy that can be carried. If you look into AC current, it is safe to transfer over longer distances and can provide more power, whereas DC current cannot travel very far because it may lose energy. Next parameter, cause of the direction of flow of electrons. Here, the electric current, which is the reason being rotating magnet along the wire, as direct current, steady magnetism along the wire. And coming to the frequency of the alternating current, the frequency of alternating current is 50 Hz or 60 Hz, depending upon the country which is producing electricity. And of course, if coming to frequency of direct current, the frequency of direct current is zero because it moves along a straight and there is no change in direction. It moves along a straight line. Coming again to direction, alternating current reverses direction. Of course, while flowing the circuit like this, positive, zero, negative, it's a sine wave. Whereas in direct current, it flows in only one direction in the circuit. Coming to the current, alternating current is the current of magnitude, it's varying with time. Is here the current of constant magnitude, it won't vary. Flow of electrons in AC current, electrons keep switching direction, that is forward and backward. Whereas in direct current, electrons move steadily in one direction or just forward. And the power source from which alternating current is obtained is either it can be AC generator and mains, whereas in direct current it is cell or battery. Coming to the passive, it is impedance, it is resistance only, the AC current. Then we have the power factor of AC current is between 0 and 1, whereas direct current is always 1. And sinusoidal, the type of wave we get in AC current, can be sinusoidal, trapezoidal, triangular, or square. Whereas direct current is pure and pulsating. So these are the difference between an AC and a DC current. Next, coming to the next topic, that is the precautions that must be taken against shocks. The first precaution measure is the bodies and structures must be wired. So when you say bodies and structures must be wired, means it should be grounded. So next precaution, conductors must be insulated or should be properly insulated. There should be no naked wire or exposed wire. It should be completely enclosed and it should be non-accessible. maybe non-accessible or enclosed means some type of safety guards has to be constructed to prevent persons coming direct contact with the conductors. Next precautionary step: person should keep clear distance from high voltage conductor. Whether they're working overheads or on the ground, a proper distance should be maintained from such high voltage conductors. And person should wear safety insulating shoes and hand gloves. That is, personal protective equipment should be worn all the time. Live line working should be avoided, of course. Whenever we are working on any electrical equipment, should make sure that there is no electricity connected to it. It should be avoided at all conditions. Conductors should be touched only after making dead and discharged. An unqualified person must not be asked to do electrical work. Most importantly, those only qualified person should be working with electrical equipments or appliances. The power tools and equipments, we should keep the power tools and equipments in safe working order through inspection and preventive maintenance program. That means tools that require energy or electric energy for their working. They should be thoroughly inspected and proper maintenance program should be carried out. And if any such tools are faulty, they should be disconnected and reported. Always switch off tools and appliances at the power point before pulling out the plug. So when the appliance is in electricity is flowing through it, never pull the plug from the socket. And of course, the last important step: follow safe practices. That's an important thing. So these are some of the safety precautions uh, one can take against shocks. Next topic: AC and DC current shocks. We know that when we say AC, it means alternating current, and it follows a sine wave as shown in the figure. And it is, as it is alternating, it is continuously changing direction and passing through zero, because it goes maximum, comes back to zero, then again there's a peak. It's lower peak and a higher peak, passing through zero to maximum positive value and then to maximum negative value. And we usually find AC current in household appliances like lights, fans, and etc. And when we say DC current, it means the direct current and does not change in magnitude, though it can be positive or negative depending on the direction of the circuit. And this type of current is usually ideal for electrical installation, motors, etc. Now let us see what are safety procedures that are to be followed in electrical appliances. The first thing is that there should be proper paperwork for the following should be done, beginning from the beginning and continued while during the commissioning of the plant, during operation and in case of the electrical installation. And this paperwork involves permit to work, access to work, entry pass, materials gate pass, and so many things. So if whoever the person that is working on the electrical installation, proper permit orders should be there with him, and the permit order should be signed by the authorized, like maybe a manager or who's authorized by an authorized person. And the installation, as I will discuss, whether it is installation, commissioning, and maintenance work should be carried out with written permission of responsible authorized person. And steps, there are certain steps that should be taken by the concerned authorities to ensure safety. So let us see what are those steps include. The first step is that isolation of the part from live parts, whether it may be during the period of installation, testing, and maintenance. Isolation of the part means when they are installing a new electrical equipment, we should make sure that it is fully isolated from the other live parts. Next step, whenever electrical maintenance work is being done, a danger notice and a safety notice should be kept in and around, should be placed at workplace. And the neighboring next precaution step, the neighboring switches should be locked. That's very important to avoid. So the main reason of locking these neighboring switches is to avoid switching by a third person. Next step, proper tools, safety devices should be provided to the electrician. So whoever is working, he should be provided all tools, proper tools that are needed. Next step, of course, the electrician should be well trained. First aid should be available. In case of an accident, it should be readily and easily accessible and also available. First aid. Next, switching on should be allowed only after the completion of work. Next, follow safety rules faithfully. Next precaution step, fill up work form, get signed, and work permit must be returned back to issuing authority or whoever issued that after completion of the work. The worker should not take away the permit along with him. Next, make sure to switch off the supply from all the ends. So this switching off and switching on should be as per the safety rules and also with the prior permission of the authorized person. Next, we should use safety shoes, safety belts, gloves, and at whatever PPE equipments are needed for particular work, all those should be worn. An important thing, whenever working with electrical appliances, do not use wet cloths or wet shoes and even metal tapes. So whenever electrical appliances is an electrical installation or is under maintenance, barrier should be kept in the form of ropes around the section where the maintenance is carried out.